Hi, I'm Edward Trojanowski. You are watching Sporting Icons.
Right, now I was just looking at the WBO world rankings. Well, in fact, I was looking at all of them, but the WBO stood out for me because Evgeny Romanov is now ranked at number 8 in the WBO. Now, that means that he's in line for a world title shot. He could get a voluntary defense against him. Now, he's currently 14-0 with 10 knockouts. Now, we'll talk a little bit about him in a second. Now, for those of you who don't know too much about Romanov, well, he's a guy who knocked out Deontay Wilder in the amateurs. So you're talking 11, 12 years ago now. So a lot has changed since then, that's for sure. But Romanov, when he fought Deontay Wilder, he hit Wilder with a big shot, which had Wilder wobbled, really wobbled. The referee stepped in, gave him a bit of a count. The fight continued. Romanov hit him with a big shot again. Wilder stumbled and fell backwards onto his backside and onto the floor, counted out. So Romanov knocked out Deontay Wilder in the amateurs. Now, this is probably what he's famous for. A lot of people who think about Romanov, well, he's the guy who knocked out Deontay Wilder, okay? But how good is he in the professional game? Now, he retired from amateur boxing in 2010 and then turned pro in 2016. So he took a 6-year period off. Quite what he was doing within that 6-year period, I couldn't tell you. But since he's joined the professional ranks, when you watch him fight, he's very effective. Now, okay, the level of opposition hasn't been outstanding, that's for sure. He's had 14 fights, and as I said earlier, 10 of those by stoppage. Now, he's one of the old school kind of fighters. When you watch him, he's pretty old school, where it's chop the tree down. He attacks the body. And him being only 6 feet tall, so he ain't the biggest heavyweight in the world, but he's very stocky. When you look at him, he does remind me quite a bit of Povetkin. But Povetkin, of course, he is a bit of a headhunter in that as well, and very sharp in the ring, especially with that left hook. But with Romanov, he seems to have it all, where it's a case of if you chop the tree down, if you break the ribs, if you take the air out, at some point, the elbows are going to drop, and then he comes in for the knockout upstairs. That's what he does. It's very old school. It's very, in some ways, route one, but it's very effective. And when people talk about how Deontay Wilder, he's a great big puncher, but he's always been a big puncher. Even in the amateurs, he was a pretty big puncher, okay? And his style hasn't changed that much. He's a bit more elusive now, as he's harder to get hold of. And a lot of people who say, and I know it's easier said than done, where to beat Wilder, you've got to get in on his chest and you've got to go to the body with Wilder, tire him down a bit, and then, as we know, Wilder isn't great around the whiskers. We've seen it time and time again, but so far he's managed to survive the storm. He's been through some pretty hairy moments. But someone like a Romanov, who is a body puncher, this is pretty much how I think a lot of people agree how you beat a Deontay Wilder. You chop the tree down. Because a lot of people, they tend to go headhunting because they know he's a little bit soft around the whiskers. So if you catch him, there's a very good chance you could get him on Bambi legs, as we've seen plenty of times, and then you go in for the kill. At the same time, you've got to try and stay away from that big right hand. Again, easier said than done. It's very easy for me and you to sit on the outside and say, this is how you do it. But in Romanov, he's proven how you do it. It's the body punches. And it's not just a case of he just gets in on the chest and starts tucking away. No, not at all. He jabs to the body, he throws a straight right to the body, he does all that kind of thing. And Romanov is one of those kind of guys as well, where he does like to get up close. He does like to work his way in, and he has the short hook, the short arm hook. That's what he does with left and right. He isn't really one for the straight right over the top or anything like that. He's not kind of one of those kind of guys. He's just more of a stocky Eastern European style, which is why I was comparing him a little bit with Povetkin. Now, these guys are not exactly European style, of course not, but they do have that, it's chop the tree down and eventually the head will come off. That's how he fights. And Romanov is looking pretty damn good so far. But again, we do need to see him take on stiffer opposition. And I would imagine in 2020, we're going to see Romanov in with some real tests. Now, he's 34 years old. So he's no spring chicken, but he's the same age as, say, Wilder. And I know we're comparing him to Wilder quite a lot because a lot of people know Romanov because of the Wilder situation, but he's the same age as Wilder. But the fundamentals are all there. He's got power. The body shots quite clearly are hurting his opponents, okay? So hopefully this year, 2020, we're going to see him in with some stiffer opposition, and let's see what he's all about. Now, he's not ranked in the WBC, so Wilder, he's pretty safe at the minute. But if you're Deontay Wilder, at some point, surely you'd want that fight. You want to correct the wrong. Much like Anthony Joshua did with Dillian White. Dillian White, he beat up and dropped Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, which happened to be Dillian White's first ever fight in a boxing ring. So he did that, and then obviously these guys had their beef, got into the program. Joshua wanted that fight, and I would really, really hope that no matter what happens with Wilder, whether he loses the belt in the foreseeable future, at some point fight Romanov, settle that score, and hopefully he does. If he's got warrior in his heart, hopefully that's what it is that he'll do, and I'm sure Romanov, he'll quite happily take that fight. If he may have that mentality of, well, I'll beat you in the amateurs and I'll beat you in the pros. But anyway, time will tell about that one. But either way, Evgeny Romanov is ranked number 8 in the WBO, so he is actually in line for a world title shot soon. He won't get it. I wouldn't have thought he'd get it this year, because obviously the WBO, they have their mandatory situation with currently Usyk. But don't be surprised if you end up seeing, say, for example, if Usyk takes on Parker, and then the winner, if they don't fight Joshua straight away, could end up fighting a Romanov. Anyway, that's what's going on. Drop your thoughts below about him. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.